Hey, everybody, welcome to the Quest Culture Podcast, your place for all things sci-fi, fantasy, action. Yeah, what did I forget? Horror. Horror, that's your thing.
You forgot the best
Horror.
one.
That's right, I forgot the best thing. And horror, all the things that we like, all the things that you love, and all here in one place. So I'm here with your guest. Well, we have a couple guests tonight. Your main host, LuDana Jeter, here to my left, LuDana Jeter.
Hi.
And we have a special guest today.
Very special.
Very special.
Very special.
Episode 3. We have. Ew. That's not the one you want to be. It's not the one you want to be. We have all the way from the West Coast. We have scientist, newly minted anesthesiologist, avid Star Wars fan, my brother, Dr. Dayle Hodge.
Thank you.
Yay!
You forgot engineer. What is this?
Oh,
Well, I put it under scientist.
like duh.
I didn't want to be redundant.
That's
So-
No.
it's a distinction.
It is a distinction,
Yes.
but I figured you would make that distinction.
Okay.
You can make that distinction. That's why there's a mic in front of you. So
That's
you
true.
can make that particular distinction. How
Yeah.
you doing?
Good. I'm doing good.
How was your experience here in the city
It was-
since you've been here?
It was great. I got here last Saturday, so about a week, and it was exactly what I needed. You know, I just finished a residency June 30th, and
Woohoo!
woo,
How long you been in school?
way too long.
I want numbers.
Since
You
birth.
want numbers? Okay, let me.
Since 5 years old.
No, but how many years?
How many years?
I know you know that down to the second. So what?
I mean, it was probably like if you work, it's like 34th grade. I think is the best way of putting it. But to go through the whole chronology, like I started off as an engineer.
Yeah.
So I went to the University of Buffalo and I studied mechanical and aerospace engineering. And then my junior year, I decided I wanted to get into medicine. So
Go
I
Bulls.
say that.
Go Bulls.
Go Bills. Go Bulls. I'm sorry. Bulls.
Yes.
Well, both. And then I did a French minor and pre-med and finally got into some research with my master's. So I did a master's in mechanical engineering. Then I had enough of school. I worked in industry for a couple years in San Diego, designing instruments for spine surgery. And then I went back to school, did my MD PhD here in New York, up in the Bronx at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. My PhD was in stem cell and cancer biology. And then I moved to Portland to do my anesthesiology residency and a fellowship in tissue engineering. And that just ended June 30th. And then I took my boards. So I was studying for 3 weeks. And then as soon as I took my exam Friday, I got on a plane and came here. So it's been a very long road. I think it's been 20 some years of training.
So my first question after all that will be, when are you going to get a real job?
October 1st.
Okay.
October 1st is the day. So
That's amazing. So
until then, I'm unemployed, and I'm very happily unemployed. I'm doing nothing. I'm just gonna hang out at home, hang out
That's
with
nice.
with my daughter, try to lose some of the pounds I gained in residency, so go back to the gym,
nice.
and just learn what it's like to be a human being that's not under constant stress.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what will your job be? What will you be practicing?
So I'll be doing just clinical medicine. So I'll be working as an anesthesiologist at Oregon Health and Science University. So I'll be working in the operating rooms,
Okay.
helping people get surgery. So
Mhm.
I'm a generalist, so I'm not doing like pediatrics or cardiac surgery, but I'll be doing neurosurgery. I'll be doing obstetrics. I'll be doing general surgery, vascular surgery. So all of that is still under like a generalist. So
Okay.
we'll be doing that.
Well, when you set your sights on being a doctor, is this what you envisioned?
No,
Oh.
not at all. Like this is like very much happenstance, not happenstance, but like I initially thought I was gonna be a surgeon.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I did my research at the University of Buffalo, it was with endovascular neurosurgeons. When I worked in industry, it was with usually neuro and orthopedic surgeons. So I thought surgery for
Okay.
the longest time.
What changed your mind?
Going and being in a surgical field, you have to rotate through different surgery, surgery specialties, and nobody seemed happy.
I would do it.
Yeah. Very few people seem happy. It's very, I mean, technically what you're doing is really, it's cool, but like the hours are brutal.
Mhm.
The
intense, right?
the personalities are often challenging. And
whose personalities?
the surgeons.
A lot of
The
type A's?
surgeons.
Yeah. Say what?
A lot of type A's or
Oh yeah.
What?
I mean, that's like med school attracts type A's to begin with, and then you have to like distill that down into surgeons.
Hmm.
So, you know, I still like surgery. Like, I think it's a very like just being in the operating room is where I think I'm supposed to be. But like, I don't think there's any one surgery that I would like doing for my career that I can just do neurosurgery or just do orthopedics or just do cardiac. So that's why I like, you know, helping out with all of them, because you get a good variety, and you get a chair. You get to sit. You don't have to sit there for like or stand there for like 10
So
hours.
you're lazy doctor. Is that what you're saying?
I'm an
Those doctors are so lazy.
I'm an efficient doctor. If I don't need to stand for 10 hours, I won't. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're very active.
No, I know.
You're very active behind the drape. Nobody sees you.
Right.
Nobody knows what you're doing. You're kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
That's
But
a terrible analogy.
But as okay. Remember, I'm functioning on 30 minutes of sleep. I'm sorry. In your position,
You're primed right now. Let's go.
yeah.
in your position, do you have assistants, or is it just you that monitors everything once you put someone under?
It's usually just you.
Okay.
Because I'm at an academic institution, I'll be supervising residents as well.
Okay.
So my job is to like teach them how to do my job. But a lot of times you're just solo. So you're the one bringing the patient in, you're putting them to sleep, you're basically flying, like you're a pilot and you're like flying the human. So they're you know, mechanical, electrical, thermal, fluid, chemical machine that you have to take care of. So we have to control their pain. You have to
Never
control
heard
their
that
blood.
analogy before.
Yeah, it's like so all these things. So you put them to sleep, and you know, the analogy is like, I think the one I've heard most often is that the patient is the boat, you are the captain, and the surgeon is the storm.
Okay.
Wow.
Because
Wow. Yeah.
the surgeon is, you know, I mean, obviously they're trying to help them, but like
You gotta do damage.
they're doing damage. So
Yeah.
they're doing things that are painful
Mhm.
to them. You have to control their pain. You're doing things that, you know, they're doing things that might drop their blood pressure. You have to control their blood pressure. You have to make sure that they're, you know, when you give them things to control their breathing, you're paralyzing them. So you have to do all these things, you know,
Yeah.
control their nausea, like all these things that are working in the background, and you're doing it in a very finite period of time.
Right.
And you're part of a machine. So you may have like 4 surgeries do that day. You need to make sure like everyone is timed exactly. So it's pretty interesting.
It is interesting. You know, I had one surgery, which was recent. I had shoulder surgery, and it was just odd. It just felt like, wow, his life is really, I mean, my life is really in this man's hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know, it was weird. It was weird just going under like that. It's like,
Relinquishing like that?
yes.
Yeah. You have to build that rapport with people very quickly. Like, hey.
Right. And the last thing he said to me was, how many olives did I want in my martini?
Exactly.
I don't know why we were talking vodka.
I mean, that's that's the most common analogy. Like, I'm going to give you a little cocktail that's going to help you get through this. And
What made you decide, do you want to be a doctor? Like, is there a moment that you can pinpoint that made you decide you were going to do this to yourself?
you make this like you're going to punish yourself for a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was my junior year of college. I was studying abroad in Paris, and you know, we're studying aerospace engineering. We had a heat transfer lab, or like an aerodynamics lab that was in a wind tunnel. And I'd always had some interest in medicine, but it was always kind of in the background. And when you went in the wind tunnel, you test things like aircraft wings, you test, you know, ejection seats, you look at things like how submarines operate, you know, that sort of things. And I saw like a CT scan of somebody's head, and I saw them breathing in air. And I was like, oh yeah, this is all the same concepts. Like whether it's air over the wing of an aircraft or air going into your sinuses, it's the same equations, the same properties. It's just you're changing a little bit. Or if like blood in an artery or water in a tube, same properties. It's just you're mixing things up. So that made me really see that the human body is a machine. and being an engineer and having an interest in biology, I thought that going into medicine would be the best step. And also I like it's a very intimate relationship. Like you're there for people's their best days of their lives when they're having kids, and maybe the worst days of their lives, and you may be the last person they speak to.
Wow.
Wow.
That's quite the weight.
Yeah. So you really need to be able to balance all that, and but that type of relationship I think was very gratifying for me.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Good.
And also just when you're off, you're off. Like I don't have any notes to close. My pager's off. Leave me alone. Like I don't want to hear about it or anything. And when you're there, you're there. It's intense. When you're off, and that makes it.
Oh, that's good. You can completely turn off from it.
Exactly.
Speaking of the human body being a machine, how far are we from actual prosthetics? And you know the ones I'm talking.
Yeah, I mean like Luke essentially.
For a minute, exactly. Because for a minute you worked in design, right, for biomedical devices.
I mean they already have things there right now that you can have that are controlled by your thoughts. So it's not quite as real time
articulated as much.
Exactly. Like you got to think about this is an electrical machine, but you have a delay, so you're able to do some things, but the level of fluidity that you would need to throw a ball or catch a pass.
One.
Yeah, that's not quite there yet, but it's getting there.
How long?
30 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe with AI it'll be faster. I don't know.
What are you needing? Wait, what's happening here?
Just thinking ahead. Making plans,
Okay.
Stuff starts to hurt. I'm like, maybe I'll just get a new one. What was your speaking of Luke, what was your transition to what was the first moment? Because the reason why I wanted to have you on here is because you are possibly the biggest Star Wars fan that I know, one of the biggest fans that I know by far. I remember you being a kid, and we used to pull up into the driveway or pull up into that little pulling up into the driveway down the street, and you would just be sitting there in your hockey equipment and looking up at me, and then you would just waiting for me to give you permission because I used to drive this Eclipse, and there was a little boost button that you could hit to
turbo
make the car faster or whatever. So he would look at me as we were entering, and I would hit the garage door opener, and he would look at me and try to time it so that when I hit the button, when he hit the button, the garage door opener would go up. And he would look at me, just waiting for me, and I'd be like, "Fine."
Yeah.
and I'd go, "Rebel Command, this is Blue Leader, ready to dock." And he'd go, "Blue Leader, ready to dock," and he'd hit the button. And then we go into the
almost crashing the car.
Almost crashing the car, but he loved it. So
you did it every time.
Almost every time, religiously. So you've been on a Rebel Squadron commander for a while. So what made you so fall into Star Wars like that more than any other? Because we used to watch a lot of science fiction.
Yeah.
As kids, what was it about Star Wars that made you really fall in love with it?
The games, the LucasArts games that came out. I played the games before I watched any of the movies, which was weird because I kind of by that time Star Wars had been out for almost 20 years, so I knew kind of the basic idea of it, but
I'm sorry, this is very new to me. The what games?
So LucasArts has a division of Lucasfilm.
Okay.
And they basically would make video games. So X-Wing was the game, and these games came out in the early 90s, 91, 92, 93, probably 93, I think. So I was 9, 10, and playing X-Wing, playing TIE Fighter, Rebel Assault, Dark Forces.
Those games were so much fun.
Those games were amazing. But those really pulled me in because you learned the details that were in the movie and then some. So anyway, you got the games. I played them a lot. And then Dwayne, our brother, got me a box set of the original trilogy when I was 10.
That's right.
So I watched it on VHS, and that really got me into it. I like binged it. I just watched like all 3 movies like Christmas night.
That's amazing.
And then that really got me into it. And then from there, like I think also getting into it like before there was even thought of the prequels. Like this is when I was like 10, so I was like 94, 95 or so. So the prequels were like, oh man, I heard there's more episodes. I just, will they ever come out? And then
We used to talk about it all the time.
exactly.
The books.
And then finally you're like, oh man, like episodes 1, 2, and 3 are coming out. I can't wait. And then
And then they came out.
and I was like, this is very disappointing.
So before we get to that, what's your favorite of the original 3?
Empire Strikes Back.
What about yours?
Empire for the first 3.
Dana's a huge Star Wars fan.
I am.
Yeah.
Empire 2 for you?
Empire, but a close second is you're not gonna like it.
Of the originals.
Of the originals, yes,
3.
Empire.
Why? What's a close second that you?
Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Oof.
Yeah,
I mean,
know. I know.
In my opinion, the Jedi are evil, and I was like, oh god, is this like a middle schooler writing this? Like who came up with these lines?
Was it George Lucas?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, George.
It was so contrived. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I liked the origin story of Darth Vader, and I thought there were some really good parts to it. But like, it was just, I think it's sort of emblematic of what has gone wrong with Star Wars in the past like 20 years. Is that like they're trying to do too much, and in that they're missing. They're missing the mark in making a high quality product, in my opinion. So like I think that like,
and you think those episodes 1, 2, and 3 were indicative of that?
yeah,
mentality?
because it started to become like even more. I think we'll get into this later. Like sort of the Disney. This is before Disney bought them out, but
Yeah.
But the Disneyfication of Star Wars, where you have episode 1 that's like pod racing. I guess that's part of this. Then Jar Jar comes in, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, you're just clearly trying to like broaden your appeal to like marketing for kids, sell toys, but like you're missing the mark, on a lot of them. But there's also like the Duel of the Fates, the
Darth Maul.
that
Like,
like
fight at the end with Obi-Wan.
that was probably one of the best fights ever.
Yeah.
The music, the fighting, everything about that. I was like, oh wow,
That's an iconic scene.
Exactly, where he like throws the thing back, opens the door, like amazing. So you have that amazing scene that rivals anything else in the Star Wars universe, balanced out with like, I'm gonna do a barrel roll, like or whatever he does. I'm like, come on, like,
Are you an angel?
let's just spin, like, come on, like,
You two in the voices.
like,
Well, you got to do the voice.
you got to do.
No, you don't.
I mean, I'm imitating a 10-year-old.
I know you are. Poor little kid.
Yeah, well, let's not. Yeah, let's think.
But you know what's funny
kid got
is, I mean,
razzed
you
enough.
mentioned toys, and it's funny because at that time when episode 1 came out, I was a planner at FEO Schwartz. So Star Wars was huge. We turned the whole store into Star Wars. Lucas came. We had to sign a, non-disclosure because I was part of the action figures. Like I had a lot of we had like a whole room. So I didn't look at it that way. I didn't look at it as that's what they were doing. But you're right, as far as marketing it for kids more than anything.
Yeah,
Because the first 3 definitely didn't give that vibe at all.
Which is counterintuitive because because Lucas, that deal that he struck for those first movies was that it was one of the first, right, ever, or if not the first, where he would get he like forsake like the upfront money and took points, and he would get whatever the proceeds from selling toys would be. Like that would
Really?
Yeah. So it was brilliant. That's,
I didn't know that.
And that's that's how he made a lot of that money initially, was from those toys.
And there was an argument that that's what happened also with Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks. Like, you're just trying to...
Oh, that's an obvious.
Yeah. And then you had, like, the Star Wars Christmas special, which is like, what is it? Like...
Yeah.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Christmas special?
Yes. Star Wars Christmas special. which now you have to watch. It's
Please no.
it's it's
Star Wars
pretty.
and Christmas. Okay.
It's
Is it with the Ewoks?
the Ewoks were featured in this
Oh,
Christmas
jeez
special
Louise.
in a
Who-
galaxy.
this was
far,
under
far away.
Lucas?
This was under Lucas.
Oh, George.
Yeah,
George.
this is like 86 probably. Something like that.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah.
I'm glad I don't know about that.
Oh, well, now you got to watch it though. It's they never did it again. Star Wars has been around how long? They've never done a Christmas special again.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it was universally panned. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But people have grown to like the Ewoks, right? The Ewoks, no one hates the Ewoks.
Sure, but like the Ewoks, I think were the gateway to like they realized, oh wait a minute, you have these lovable characters, and then there had to be one for each iteration. Like you had the Porgs for the sequels.
For the sequels.
Yeah.
Those little bird
The
things
little bird things
that were on the
like-
island with Luke
like-
that ended up being on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, exactly. So you have those little animals, and the acolyte. You have what's this? The dog-like character. I'm blanking on his name.
Not Chewbacca.
No.
The dog-like.
I can't.
forgot what the
I got the guy, but it's a dog-like character.
If you know the name of the dog-like characters, put it in the comments.
Yeah,
We're sorry.
yeah, and it's funny because I just in preparation for this show, because I've been studying for the past month or so, I missed a lot of
Yeah.
everything. So I was
Or
like,
have
you know
you
what?
missed it though?
Yeah, exactly. Like I went and I was like, let me watch The Acolyte,
Mhm.
and I watched all 8 episodes, whatever, in preparation this week, and that was a mistake.
Well,
It
I
was
mean-
C minus. I bet. Like,
I
it
mean,
was-
CC
let's
minus.
dig down into that a little bit because
Okay.
I mean, what did you watched Acolyte, right?
Yes,
The whole thing.
I did finish. Well, you know what? I meant to finish it on. I meant to finish the last episode on the plane, but I watched most of it.
Yeah.
I watched. Well, we're not going to say what happened, right?
Yeah, you can. Everybody's
Okay.
watched it.
Yeah, everybody watched it already
Okay.
and said boo.
I mean, I don't know.
I watched to the point where she killed him.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't see what happened after.
Spoilers.
yeah.
So,
What
but
was your overall sense?
I struggled a bit at first. I'll be honest. I understand that it was supposed to be a big, huge thing that the actor from Squid Game, they made a big deal, but he was not good in this role. It was crystal clear to me that he did not understand what he was saying, how he was saying it, because the emphasis were wrong. He wasn't good. And even the actress who was another Jedi Master, I think.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yes, Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah.
She was even looking sometimes like, oh my God,
Yeah.
doing this scene with you and it's torture. He just wasn't good in the role for me. So I was glad she killed him in the end.
Oh my God! Wow.
Because I don't want to see him again.
Okay. Did you
But
feel that way?
but I think, what is her name? Amanda Steinberg, who played the twins.
Yeah.
Not the twins.
Yeah.
I thought she was pretty good. I actually like the story. I would love to see more of like her mother and where that whole
The Coven.
coven.
Yeah.
Like that was interesting to me. But the flow of this series was not good.
No.
And sometimes it felt like I was watching the same episode that I watched the week before.
Yeah, that was. I think there was one of the issues I had with it. Was the sets all seemed to be very similar, except for I forget one of the later episodes where they did a lot of exterior shots and they had a lot of
Mhm.
grander sort of sets. That felt like I was watching, more of a prestige show, whereas the other episodes definitely felt like they were on a set.
Very
and-
much so.
and very
And like they ran up
enclosed
to
and
the
not
same set. Like
real. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of reusing
yeah.
of the same set.
Yes.
So I think that was an issue.
Mhm.
I appreciate. So I guess we can go to there because so you said Empire was your favorite. You said Empire was yours. I guess of the original three.
Of the original 3, I think.
I guess Empire is my favorite. Though there are aspects of Return of the Jedi that I do like.
Yeah.
I do love the final fight.
Yeah.
With Vader and Luke.
Yeah.
And the Emperor.
Yeah.
I do love when Luke shows up at Jabba's and flexes his dark side.
Yeah, he
You
choked.
know what I'm saying? Like people don't understand how cool that was. That Luke showed up dressed in black.
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't in gray. He wasn't in white. He was in black.
And he
which-
choked the pig
and
guy.
he choked the pig
Yeah.
guy. So he was fully going dark side. As he should, as was, and depending, stuff is not lore anymore because they changed the lore. But so I thought seeing those elements of Luke Skywalker were amazing. And I would like to have seen more of that, which is why I think I like Return of the Jedi in that respect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But Empire's obviously, I think, the better film.
Mhm.
It wasn't written by Lucas.
It wasn't directed by
It
Lucas.
wasn't directed.
Yeah.
George, it's okay. We love you. We love you.
They don't love you. I do.
Love
George,
you.
though.
I love you. I'm just honest with you.
You can't
George.
win 'em all.
I'm honest. I'm not a sycophant. I appreciate you, what you did for the entire universe, even ours. So we agree on, I guess, on what of the first original three, what the best film was. What do you think of is the worst film of the entire? Actually, you know what? Not film, property. Worst property.
Oh.
Because you gave Acolyte a C, right? C minus.
Yeah.
What's worse? Is there anything that you've seen right up till this point that is worse than?
Obi-Wan Kenobi was bad. Obi-Wan Kenobi was really bad. Especially it's a story that I think I wanted to really hear about what happened after Mustafar. Like, it's the first time I see him since he like chopped him to bits on a volcano planet, and then like
High of the high ground.
exactly. In my opinion, the Jedi are evil. And I'm like, oh, such a good scene. Why
Go
did
back
you
to fighting. Go back to
Exactly.
fighting.
Just hack at each other for a little bit.
You guys are cruel.
But like you, like
We might be a little harsh. I don't know. Go ahead, though.
so yeah, I would say probably Obi-Wan is bad. Yeah, that's the only thing I can really think
Obi-Wan works.
of.
What about you?
Obi-Wan.
What's of all the new Star Wars properties? Did you think Acolyte was?
No, I thought, wow, what is her name? It just happened.
Oh, Ashoka.
Yeah.
So you didn't like
You like
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka?
I did.
Ahsoka wasn't
It was
great.
okay.
It was okay. It was okay. But I think that's
But you thought it was worse than Acolyte?
I did.
Oh wow. Okay.
that's the thing. But none of them are like D's. They're all like
No.
CC minuses,
Oh.
or they're all like middling.
I got a D.
Yeah.
Huh?
I got a D.
You got a D?
For what?
Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. See.
Oh. See, you know
Okay.
why? You know why I would have at first,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason I kept watching it.
Yeah.
But because it turned to
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Season 3, exactly.
for a couple episodes.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but for me
Yeah.
that just solidified it as a D. I'm like you're like you like in the middle of your soul series. You're like, let's just put a Mandalorian
Right.
series in there. Let's see if we can save this
That was so crazy.
hodgepodge mess.
That was
Yeah.
so
That we
crazy
put
that
together.
they made that Mandalorian.
Yo, what was that? What was that biker group thing?
Oh my god.
What was
like,
that? The shiny bikes in the middle of the
Yeah.
desert. I was so upset.
This
I'm
biker
like,
gang.
but that goes to your point about them wanting to sell.
But it was like a Mad
Toys.
Max kind of thing to me.
Ex-
Where
It
in
was
Mad
given
Max?
that.
I feel that. I hear you, but where in Mad Max were the cars clean? Like sparkling in the sun in the middle of this like swamp desert, in the middle of this like dirty desert area.
Yeah.
And they're all and it's just their bikes.
I know.
I'm like, they must be cleaning these bikes all day. It was absurd. I felt like I was being,
All right, so you can't blame Lucas for everything.
I mean, I do blame the mentality of having to always approach every scene as if you're trying to sell something to somebody. And I think those bikes were supposed to be toys that, that they were trying to sell. And
Really?
it just stood out to me as a clear otherworldly product placement of a toy that's just going to show up on Christmas shelves.
Yeah.
But people didn't like Book of Boba Fett, so
Right.
I'm sure none of that stuff actually came out.
But isn't
Yeah.
there going to be a part 2?
I
Maybe. I hope not.
don't.
thought I
hope
saw
they
that.
just stop with that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over the prequel stuff. I mean, I know Book of Boba Fett is a after the fact type of thing, but I was fine with Boba Fett getting eaten by the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
Sarlacc?
Sarlacc, yeah.
The Sarlacc, and that would have been fine. If they were going to bring him back, Boba Fett is supposed to be the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy,
Mm.
and that's not the guy that's in Book of Boba Fett
No.
at
Yeah.
all. Not even close. There's nothing threatening about the portrayal.
Mm-hmm.
like you can see on the screen that they're trying to, like the other actors are trying to make it look like he's terrifying, but it's like this guy is just in an ill-fitting armor right now, and he's not at all looking menacing. I think it did a disservice to that character. Boba Fett is like just as classic, just as pivotal, just as deadly and a force of nature as Darth Vader is in my opinion, in those first, in those original movies. Boba Fett is badass. But Han Solo runs from Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I'm saying Han Solo is no slouch. Chewbacca runs away from Boba Fett. Like that, like they're not running from that guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Book of Boba Fett was a D for me.
Just as an aside, I'm thinking of like a commonality that has made things sort of subpar is that I think they've relied a lot on kid actors that weren't ready to.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan,
weren't you talking about the Leia
Princess
character?
Leia character was so annoying.
Forgot about her. She was the.
Yeah. So
Jeez Louise, she was annoying.
Her, the kid in Phantom Menace, the twins in Acolyte, like they're putting kids into roles that are like
they require like gravitas. Like you can have kid actors in roles.
Right.
I always reference The Sixth Sense. You can see like there are movies where you can put good child actors in roles and they can carry those scenes with even terrible lines.
Right.
Because most lines for children aren't incredibly deep lines, they're
not
just have to be
even
delivered
lines,
well.
just
but
the ability to act, like
Logan.
That
too. Logan is a perfect example. But it seems like they're just putting cute kids in these as these characters and hoping that's enough to carry the scenes. And
who was cute?
I mean, you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
I do know what you mean.
They're children.
I know. I'm kidding.
But
like the twins, like they were like when they were the Covenant was trying to like do whatever their rite of passage is, and they're like pushing each other, and they're like, I'm like, is this really what you're like? Come on.
I think it's because it was forced. I think Acolyte would have benefited from Acolyte by stretching the story out more.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand.
More story, more backstory, instead of trying to get to solving the quote unquote mystery by the end of the series, which is what they were trying to get to. It's supposed to be like a murder mystery. That's what it's supposed to be. And you, instead of focusing so hard on getting to that point, give a little bit of backstory. I felt like I had nothing in common with the Jedi that were there. I understand they're trying to portray the Jedi as being more of like a police force instead of like a, anything else. So they're like these space cops that share this sort of religion. So I get that was a portrayal. And in newer Star Trek stuff, I watched Andor recently again, and I watched
Star Wars.
What's the other one? The most recent, The Last Skywalker. I watched that again.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
I just
Why'd you do that to yourself?
Why do you hate?
Because I just wanted to see.
Who
I want
hurt you?
Right?
Who hurt
sorry.
me? What's his name? Bad Robot Guy hurt me. What's his name? It'll come to me. The director. He hurt me badly. I really wanted to like that movie. Princess Leia surviving in the depths of space because of the Force. Was pretty much. I remember I almost got up and left the theater when I saw it.
Why did you remind us of that? Oh my gosh! And then when you edit this, you're going to show it.
You're damn right I'm going to show it because it's so absurd. It's so absurd. Jedi can survive in the depths of space and then survive and then just die. Like, I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, who wrote that and thought the best way to honor Princess Leia, of all people, you already did Han Solo dirty by having him be killed by wannabe Darth Vader. By cosplay Darth Vader.
So now we're talking about the last 3 episodes right now.
We weren't talking Star Wars. Let's talk Star Wars. So and that's what makes me crazy, because there were such great elements to all of these films. All that money that went into it, and all that design, set design, and costume design, and graphics, and they look spectacular, but they're being made, I think, by people who don't really care about the source material, and they're diluting the franchises and making terrible. It's horrible. It's Star Wars. Like, it's so hard to mess it up if you know what you're doing.
But I think that's where, going back to the Disneyfication, is that you have LucasArts bought out by Disney, and now Disney needs to turn a profit on that. They don't necessarily worry. They bought it for $4 billion. They need to make that money back. Doesn't necessarily have to be great product. They just need to, because there are tons of movies that are terrible that make a ton of money. So they're trying to get that money back, and they have Disney Plus now. So they need to have content. So like they lured you in at The Mandalorian, and you're like, oh, that's great. And then you had like, Obi-Wan, you're like, that wasn't that great. And then you have Andor, you're like, oh wow, they're back. So they're like, all right, give stuff that will just keep you hooked, and then we'll fill it in with stuff that's not that great.
But Andor was directed by a great director.
Yeah, but they had the formula. They can make good content, but if you want to make consistently good content, you need to produce less of it so you can actually focus.
Absolutely.
But that's not their business model. Is to just get it out there, to get stuff on the.
They're killing it.
Exactly, and that's part of the issue is that you are, going back into, the Disneyfication of it is that, I think this goes into what was going on with in Florida is that Disney is now seen as like this woke company.
Disney is woke.
Yeah, that's what that's how it's being perceived.
It's a company. Oh yeah, Walt Disney's company.
Yeah, Walt Disney.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but like,
it's so absurd. It's absurd on so many levels. And I hear people say it, I'm like, oh my God, please.
Are you sure? But like, and where I worry about that is that you're bringing in people who are typically not shown in film, people of color, at least in sci-fi. And sometimes you get them in good roles, and you're like, wow, look, you can really add to this. Look at Diego Luna and
Diego Luna is amazing.
And Andor and Rogue One.
Yeah.
Look at Pedro Pascal, even though he's masked in The Mandalorian. Like what's his name? Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito. In Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Moff Gideon, incredible.
Yeah.
So you have great actors who are diverse, who can augment the story.
Material, yeah.
But then you also get like a third sister in
which is terrible because she's a good actress.
I know.
It's just written badly.
But that's the thing is that because they're getting caught up in this mass production of like, let's just get this out there, you now become a target. People aren't going to say, okay, Obi-Wan Kenobi was bad. They're going to say it was bad because they're trying to diversify it. So the same thing with the guy with Squid Games with the Acolyte. Now they're going to be like, Acolyte was garbage because they were trying too hard, as opposed to just being garbage because they wrote, it was poorly written.
So we all agree that Disney's not woke, right? It's
wait a minute. But the last 3 episodes, though, I'm sorry, the last 3 episodes, you guys were so excited. Who directed them again?
Last 3 episodes of
Star Wars, the movies.
Oh, J.J. Abrams did one.
He did the first one, right?
He did the first one, I think, and the last one.
And I do remember you guys being very excited that he was taking over this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think happened with that?
I think you get caught up in the machine. I think, as you've already stated, Disney it's a machine to sell toys. So I think Rian Johnson might have done the second one. I have to double check. If you know who directed the second one, put that in the comments as well. But you get caught up in the machine, Kathleen Kennedy is really making these decisions, and you're getting up there, and they're just trying to plug in directors to direct these ideas that they have. So you can put some of the best directors in there, and most of it will be crap because the people that are producing the actual storylines are not fans. Some of them have like an agenda or something that they're trying to push, and that's problematic. Like, you just write the best story. And I think that's why you're getting what you're getting. Andor just stands out, and I think they went back to the well again for a series because that movie in itself, for me, I think it's probably one of the best Star Wars movies ever made.
I need to watch that.
Rogue One?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Oh, you said Andor. I love Rogue One.
Andor and Rogue One.
I love Rogue One. Yeah, that was a great.
If you love Rogue One, you'll love Andor. Andor is.
I tried to watch it.
You gotta
try again.
It takes some time. It's not like Are You an Angel? Star Wars. Like, you have to sit there and you have to like pay attention to it because there's a lot of stuff that comes in and out.
It's a lot of like palace intrigue.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of like a Game of Thrones type thing than it is like a Star Wars type thing, which is fine. I'm not. One of the questions I was going to ask you is who do you think these? So Acolyte, Book of Boba Fett. Mandalorian clearly, like, who do you think these movies, who are they making these shows for? What demographic do you think they're making it for? Because if they're making Acolyte for young kids or young adults, then
Yeah.
it might be fine. You know, we might be just viewing it through a lens of, you know,
Our age
just
bracket.
people our age
So
bracket.
I
People who
would
are
love
not-
to know
who
how.
aren't really watching those
Right.
particular shows. They
I
may
would
not
love
be
to
made
know-
for us, whereas Andor might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andor was more of an adult show,
Okay.
I think, because like literally the opening scene when he's like murdering somebody,
Right.
you know, but that is a leap for Disney to make, because otherwise, you know, that's not what they do typically. That's why I think Andor, because it has some grit into it, and I think Disney's trying to bring that in, but they're also in the same breath trying to be like, all right, well, we don't get the parents, but how do we get the kids? All right, well, cast some kids and make them shove each other and make them act all playful, like, you know, like you would do with your kids. And like, no, like you can't do both and have it be a good film. You can do one or the other. And you're just dragging down the quality by trying to make it too broad of an appeal.
So I would love to know how young adults feel about these new series. by Disney.
Apparently, Acolyte is one of the most highly viewed series on Disney Plus
It is.
of the Star Wars. The new
Really?
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's
and I'm pretty sure the demographic is like, you know,
Because
younger.
I saw
younger.
it rated
It skews
as
younger.
like 3.9 out of 10. I'm like, oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
harsh.
Yeah. But
it's probably
there's a lot of review bombing too for it.
Oh, I see.
that happened because
it's
Too
People
many,
of
too many
color.
Negroes on the screen,
yeah.
so people lose their minds.
right.
So, you know, you have that going on too. I just feel like they need to make a concerted effort to maybe delineate what shows are made for who. You know,
Okay, so what if they choose young adults over our age? Would you be okay with that?
we'll have to go someplace else, watch something else.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of and this is actually an interesting transition because I was into Star Wars up till my early, you know, I would probably say early 20s. And then I was way more into Star Trek.
Mm.
And that transition for me was because Star Trek seemed just dealt with more adult themes. It seemed like it was in a possible future that could possibly exist 400 or 500 years from now. I used to have one of those little, it was like a tech manual of the Enterprise D, which laid out all the systems and and explained how they worked. It was like a owner's manual, like if the
Dweeb.
actually existed. I think the word is
Did it
dork.
go
I think
along
the
with
word is
your-
dork is a word.
with your
No, it's dweeb.
It went along with your the red captain's
I don't see that in the notes. Is that where we're gonna take it? Yes, I did. Yeah, it did go along with my uniform that I wore. I had red and gold
That's true. Yeah.
command and security
Oh,
uniforms
Okay.
that I would wear out. Yeah, I thought I wore out in public on days that were not Halloween. But I was, I just thought it was interesting because it was
You're
a
so
possible.
cool.
I was so not cool. I'm still not. But I just thought that it was more of an adult. There's some episodes you have to watch over and over again. They're actually trying to make real they're making real choices about social things are socially were maybe taboo. They're making real choices about telling stories about these things. Star Wars. I mean, how many Negroes do you know are in space in Star Wars right now? So we have Lando. We have young Lando.
Don't say Lando and young Lando.
Yeah.
You
You know,
have,
That's
We have
another one.
the escaped stormtrooper,
yeah,
John Boyega.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
The fact that we're thinking so hard. And we have the two Acolyte twins
Yeah,
and their mother, and
Yeah.
some of the coven.
yeah, that's true.
The point is, we're thinking really hard,
Yeah,
right? Star Wars, there's like no Negroes in the future. So for me, Star Trek was more of an attempt to kind of rectify that and pull sci-fi into a place where we all can feel accepted and we all can feel part of a positive future, and that there's someday that the money will be, you don't even need money because people will put taking care of each other over anything else, and food is provided and basic needs are provided, and we're honoring the best parts of ourselves and going out and exploring universes and trying to, spread that mentality throughout the universe in a very colonialist kind of way. But don't worry about that.
But even
But it was more adult for me. So to answer your question, if they go hardcore acolyte, I'll just go back towards Star Trek. And I
Okay.
think a lot of people would make that transition. Nothing against Star Wars. I will still love Star Wars, but there's only so many viewing hours I have left. I'm not going to sit down and watch 8 hours of something that is mediocre just because there's lightsabers in it. I'm just not going to
Yeah.
make that choice.
Yeah, and even also like the roles that people of color are taking, especially Black people in Star Wars. They're eventually Lando became a general, but like he was a smuggler.
Mm.
You look at
Oh.
the acolytes. She was a mechanic. She was just she was like a person that wasn't supposed to be officially on board, that was doing the dirty work that droids are supposed to be doing. So they're not exactly in roles that they're like prominent. They're like still underlings in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He's just a stormtrooper. He's not like he's not
Mhm.
like a commander.
He's not a commander.
Wait, did you guys mention Windu?
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
I
That's
forgot.
right. Yeah.
Yes. So there's one Jedi.
Sure.
So good. Good.
Yeah.
We got,
See?
and he was essentially
The
just
bad.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Samuel.
Wasn't he though?
We just want you to put this robe on and just be Samuel L. Jackson and go.
Yeah.
Say whatever you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Or you expecting him at some point to say motherfucker
I was expecting it. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
to
I was
Palpatine?
waiting.
You
The
motherfucker.
baddest Jedi in the universe, motherfucker. Oh, Mace, motherfucker, Windu.
Shit, Negro. That's all you had to say.
Say Jedi again.
Exactly.
Say Jedi again. Best burger in the galaxy. Yeah, I was expecting him to riff. Maybe he did. Maybe the outtakes will come up. This turned into a rated R real quick. It went from PG-13.
Yeah.
That's fine. In the last 10 minutes. Woohoo! Way to go.
But going back to in general, like where there is some like a question a lot of people have asked, like where are the people of color in the universe?
Yeah.
Like why are they? Well, first of all, when they're first introduced in like the original trilogies, they were not present, and now when they are being present, when they are featured, they're not necessarily in the roles that are like, you have Mace Windu, but most
Largely disposable roles.
yeah.
Jar Jar.
Oh God, that's right.
Jesus
I'm on
Christ.
best. Exactly.
I couldn't deal.
Oh my God.
Like really, Lucas, come on.
You know who was originally supposed to play Jar Jar?
Yes, I was about to
Yeah.
say that. Who?
Michael Jackson.
What?
Yeah. Michael Jackson auditioned to play Jar Jar, and they went with somebody else. Something happened where he couldn't do it. I think he wanted more control or something like that.
Thank
Oh
you,
my
Michael.
goodness.
And they were like, no. So they went with the other guy.
I didn't know that.
Wouldn't that have been something? I'm not sure how I would have felt about that.
I didn't know that.
Cancel Michael.
I have no idea how I'd feel about that. I think part of me is like, no. You will not do that, Michael. You will not do that. But to why there's no Negroes in the future. What's going on? Because I want to make a quick transition because of course there's not enough time. Your talk, right?
Oh yeah.
And the resources that are available to us, and what is denied to people in in certain parts of this country.
Mm-hmm.
I think Palpatine's at work. It's like it's like a design here to make sure that we don't make it, right? Like there's actual real things going on in this universe, right? That are kind of pushing us back.
Yeah, I mean the joke is like who gets on the train at 96th Street? Do the white people get off? Do the black people get on? How far? Like at 125th, you definitely don't see
Too many.
yeah, exactly. So like that's not. I mean now,
Yeah,
not,
now.
not classically,
Yeah.
but in general, the idea is that where are black people in New York, like in certain areas where they've classically been allowed to live. So like if you're looking at 96th Street, that's a huge dividing line, in terms of life expectancy. Like between the Upper East Side and East Harlem, there's almost a decade in terms of life expectancy difference across a street. And if you look at other things like, demographics there. If you look at college education, if you look at arrests for marijuana possession, they all are track along that line, and that's not an accident.
Wow.
That the red line that was drawn in terms of determining who can get mortgages was at 96th Street, and that was drawn in 1938. And still, this line that was artificially drawn 80 years ago still determines people's lives dramatically today. But that's sort of just baked into that. Like, nobody realizes that these decisions were made before they were even born. So, to your point, look, where are the black people in Star Wars? Like, they're there. They're just they're just in the lower decks. They're just they're just fixing. They're just illegal maintenance workers that are fixing things. Like, they're there. So yeah, I would like to see more people of color in more prominent roles. Even like Diego Luna. He's great in Andor.
But he's a criminal.
He's a criminal.
He's a criminal.
Yeah, he doesn't come out, and eventually he becomes a spy. So and
right, he's a sanctioned criminal.
He's sanctioned, exactly. So yeah, he didn't, and going through Rogue One, eventually he starts to form the Rebel Alliance, but his origins weren't like virtuous.
Yeah,
he was an underling in the he was in the underworld, I should say.
Yeah.
So just a pattern I noticed.
It does seem to be a trend.
I mean, but so were many other characters, like Han Solo. Same thing, though, right?
He was an Imperial officer. He was part of the academy, and then he was top of his class, and then he left.
Okay.
So he became a smuggler, but he originally joined, and he was like top of the top, and then he eventually defected. So yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
but there are programs that are in place, like in the real world here, that are trying to bring science and science education to younger people that are disadvantaged, right?
Yeah, and I do a lot of that work. There's also a lot of pushback against that too.
Why would there be pushback against it?
Because the perception is that you want an equal playing field. You want everyone should have equal opportunity. But like if we're running a race, like not everyone's starting at the same starting point. Like you're starting at the starting line. I'm sitting 30 yards behind you.
Right.
So if you want to run an even race, then you need to give me the resources to actually get me to the starting line. The same thing with looking at going back to the line at 96th Street. Like, why is it that there's like graduate college levels and graduate degrees on this side of the street, and it's largely high school or less, or some college on the other side of the street? That's not an accident, and the fact that it's persisted for 80 years, I don't think is an accident.
Do you find when you talk to people about it, you talk to these kids about it, are they aware of it? Are they cognizant of that there's something not right, or are they legitimately shocked when they hear this thing?
A lot of people, like, it depends on where I'm giving the talk. I think when I give it to, I gave it in the Bronx and I gave it in East Harlem, people are like, "Oh yeah, I know." Like, I am aware because I see it every day. But
wait, who are these people that you're speaking to?
So it varies.
I mean, they're politicians. From
like
are there people that can make a difference?
Yeah, so a lot of them are in academic medicine. So they're professors, they're public health experts, they're scientists, and a lot of those, have some political capital. But like, I give this talk generally just as like a, to people usually in the academic sort of setting, and like in general, some people have an idea that this problem exists, but when you get down to quantify detail how it came to, so you look at the environmental, social, and legislative policies that made them come to being, they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize it was so ingrained. I just knew it existed. I didn't know why."
Running out of time. I'd just like to thank you again for doing this. It was really great having you on here. I wish we had more time. You're definitely gonna have to do it again because we just scratched the surface of Star Wars and Star Trek and all the things that we could have connected to.
Yeah, I would really love to talk about Star Trek.
But we'll do this again for sure. Let people know where they can find you and where they can find out about this talk you do.
Or you can find me. I'm unemployed for the next
Don't bother Dr. Dayle.
months, so you cannot find me.
But when you're back online, what's your socials?
I'm
you have any.
I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, I try not to, but you can find me on Twitter. I think it's at Dayle Q Hodge, DAYLEQHODGE. I think that's my Twitter handle.
Wait, Twitter? Does it still exist?
X.
It's
Whatever.
X.
Whatever. The
Um,
symbol.
but I'm trying to do less social media these days.
That's good.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
You can find me at Dana Deet on IG and LuDana Jeter on Facebook.
All right. I'm Brendon Hamilton. You can find me at B Music Maker at all social medias. Brendon with an O. Thanks for tuning in to the Quest Culture Podcast. It was great having everybody here. And this is episode 3, Down. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.